What if I told you that Carl Jung discovered something about human nature that most people refuse to accept? Something so uncomfortable that we'd rather live in denial than face the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in an age where compassion has become a weapon and boundaries are labeled as cruelty. But Carl Jung said something that will change how you see every relationship in your life. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But what Jung didn't tell you, what he discovered through decades of analyzing the human psyche, is that some people irritate us not because they mirror our flaws, but because they reveal their true nature. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will save you years of emotional destruction. Section 1. The Shadow of Intent. According to Carl Jung, every person carries what he called the shadow, the hidden, darker aspects of personality that we often refuse to acknowledge. But here's what most people miss. Jung discovered that some individuals don't just carry their shadow, they weaponize it. And if you can't recognize the difference, you'll become their next victim. When someone hurts you, your mind immediately begins damage assessment. How deep, how long, what scars remain. But Carl Jung taught us to look deeper. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The most critical element isn't the wound itself, it's the intent behind it. Because here's what Jung discovered that will shock you. The difference between accidental harm and intentional destruction isn't just semantic. It's the line between unconscious behavior and calculated malice. Jung found that truly conscious individuals take responsibility for their actions. Those who operate from their shadow, they know exactly what they're doing. Section 2. The Psychology of Patterns. Carl Jung said, your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. But what happens when you look inside someone else's patterns? The answer will terrify you. According to Carl Jung's research on personality types, people reveal their true nature through consistent behavior, not through words. Jung discovered that individuals with destructive patterns don't just make mistakes, they follow psychological programs. And once you understand this program, you'll never be fooled again. These aren't confused souls stumbling through life. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask people wear to hide their true intentions. But Jung also taught us that the persona eventually cracks, revealing the shadow beneath. When someone repeatedly hurts you after knowing the damage because when they twist narratives and blame you for their actions, that's not ignorance. According to Jung's psychological framework, that's their shadow operating with full consciousness. Section 3. The Manipulation of Guilt. Carl Jung discovered something profound about human manipulation. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, but manipulators have learned to weaponize your self-acceptance against you. They use a psychological tool so subtle, you won't even realize you're being controlled. Jung said that guilt, in its pure form, serves as moral guidance. But he also warned us about those who pervert this natural emotion. According to Carl Jung's analysis of human behavior, skilled manipulators don't attack your logic, they attack your empathy. And this is how they do it. They make you feel like protecting yourself is cruelty. They twist your boundaries into betrayal. Carl Jung called this psychological projection. They project their dysfunction onto you until you're apologizing for defending your own dignity. Jung discovered that this creates what he termed neurotic guilt, shame that belongs to someone else but lives in your psyche. Section 4. The Power of Boundaries. According to Carl Jung, the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. But what Jung understood, and what most people don't, is that being yourself requires protecting yourself. And there's one thing Jung said that will revolutionize how you see boundaries. Carl Jung taught us that individuation, becoming your authentic self, is impossible without psychological boundaries. He said, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." But here's the part Jung's followers don't want you to know. Those barriers aren't always internal. Sometimes, according to Jung's deeper work, the barriers you need are external, protecting yourself from those who would exploit your growth for their gain. Jung discovered that people who truly support your individuation will respect your boundaries. Those who fight them, they're threatened by your psychological evolution. Section 5. The necessity of distance. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." But what Jung also discovered is that some chemical reactions are toxic, and staying in a toxic reaction will destroy you. According to Carl Jung's therapeutic approach, healing requires what he called psychological distance. You cannot individuate, cannot become whole, while remaining entangled with those who profit from your fragmentation. Jung understood that real transformation happens in solitude, in reflection, in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. But here's what Jung discovered about distance that will change everything. Distance isn't punishment, it's protection. It's not about anger, it's about awakening. Carl Jung taught us that consciousness requires clarity, and clarity requires space. In the end, Carl Jung's greatest discovery wasn't about the unconscious mind or personality types, or even the collective unconscious. His greatest discovery was this: some people are not meant to be healed alongside, they're meant to be healed away from. Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." But choosing requires clarity, and clarity requires the courage to see people as they are, not as you wish they were. According to Carl Jung, individuation, the process of becoming whole, demands that you stop making excuses for those who knew exactly what they were doing when they chose to harm you. Your healing doesn't begin with forgiveness. It begins with recognition. Carl Jung discovered that the moment you stop giving toxic people permission to break you is the moment your real psychological evolution begins. Because in Jung's words, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But when you finally see their patterns, their intent, their shadow operating with full awareness, when you finally choose distance over destruction, you're not just protecting yourself. You're choosing consciousness over chaos. You're choosing growth over guilt. You're choosing yourself. And that, according to Carl Jung, is the beginning of true psychological freedom. Thank you so much for staying with me through this exploration. If you found value in today's discussion, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who might benefit from it.